clearly he's being told to be aggressive off his line and help with build out for Arsenal. It's been a little bit.
Cedric's been dangerous on the ball on the right wing. Odegaard has attempted a turn. And danger averted, at least momentarily, for Everton.
Odegaard looking to be that playmaker in the pocket. There's not a ton of space for him to get on the ball in the center of the field. A lot is sort of coming from the wings for Arsenal so far.
There's Martinelli on the ball. Nice to find Odegaard, but
getting stuck in. Saka has another ball in a bit. There's a nice layoff to Jesus.
The rare touch that's just a bit too much from Gabriel. Usually he keeps that right on his foot, but Mina able to get a leg on it.
Arsenal fans will love the attitude of Jesus there. Immediately after making a mistake trying to win the ball back, you can tell that's important to Arteta's side. And that's in the Pep DNA too. You can't have anybody bigger than the squad. Everybody does their part with and without the ball.
And look, Arsenal really trying to focus on getting back into the top 4 next year, as will Manchester United. Now, who is left out in 6th, the lowest that they've finished in such a long time. And I mean, you have Liverpool, you have Manchester City, Chelsea, all were great last year. And then you have Tottenham. I mean, it is a loaded EPL. Not that it's ever not, Heather, but for those teams to try and get into those top 4 spots, it's an absolute battle. Every single game matters. And these two teams are trying to get ready for it.
Well, that's sort of what I was alluding to earlier when I say that there's a looseness about these preseason friendlies, but I think it's really dangerous to overlook the importance of the beginning of the season. You know, it always comes down to the last month, but you can look back and say, oh, I can't believe we dropped points here. I can't believe
they count the same, right?
They count the same, and so really dangerous for teams to kind of go down early, and we saw that last year with Arsenal, right?
Saka now gets his foot on the ball, and a kind of dangerous play there as Godfrey came over and got his head down towards Saka, but Saka looks up to make sure that he's okay.
Mike, that first month of the season really kind of writes your narrative. Are you putting yourself in an Arsenal position where you're, you know, down 3 games to start the season, and it just is such an intense pressure? You don't want to have to put yourself in that position.
Right, so it looks like we're going to have Saka called for offsides there as Jesus decides to take one on target, and Pickford doesn't appreciate it. You don't want to see that ball go in, even if it's after the whistle blows. Bad for the soccer karma.
It's probably one of those things that goalkeepers despise, but sometimes as a front player, you want to just see the ball hit the back of the net. You want to hear it. You want to hear those 10 fans that'll give you a little bit of a cheer. But Pickford's having none of that.
And then you got to look at the official and pretend like, oh, I couldn't hear.
I couldn't hear.
So here's Pickford. Pickford now 28, still in the prime of his career. And you know, Heather, one thing we know is that goalkeepers obviously can play longer, right, than a field player. So we had several American goalies, right? Brad Farrell, Easy Keller, Tim Howard. Saka drives up the line and tries to cut the ball across, at which he's so adept. There is Pickford, making sure it wasn't too dangerous. But Pickford still has a lot ahead of him, even though he's been this experienced and he's at the age of 28.
And I think you're speaking to the American goalkeepers too that have come over and had a lot of impact in the Premier League, and now we have Matt Turner looking to make his impact with Arsenal. But speaking of Evertonians, you have Tim Howard, fellow Central Jersey resident. I've known Tim Howard since, like, my brother and Tim Howard shared the same prom limo.
No kidding.
We go that far back, and actually when he played at Manchester United, I went over to Manchester and saw a couple of his games. What an absolute legend.
All right, well, I'm going to ask you some more questions about that later. Meanwhile, another corner kick coming here is Martinelli this time able to get some danger.
Both Saka and Martinelli are definitely tasked with driving to the end line and chopping it back for either Jesus or Odegaard. And I think that those are the kind of connections that might take a little bit more time to form, that final crossing and finishing piece.
Still such a young team. It's so much talent there as this ball gets swung in. And that is your first goal. Who else? Gabriel Jesus makes it 1-0 for Arsenal.
You just have to love this if you're an good. This one falls all the way to the back post. Cedric puts a big one in, back post. You know what? That's an exceptional finish from Jesus.
Just class touch, Heather, to set himself up and leaves no doubt that one goes almost straight up into the roof of the net. This is a finisher's finish right here.
It is, because look, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Everton players on the goal line. He knows that he has to roof it. He has to lift it, and he smacks it with the top of the laces of his boot and gets it just high enough to clear their heads. It's a class finish.
Well, as the Everton fans bemoan now being down 1-0, you can just see and feel in this building the excitement, not just for the goal that just went in, but thinking, oh, this is our number 9 now. Okay, this is the guy. This is the talisman. This is a player that you can really, if you have a true goal scorer, Heather, you can ride that wave into a season.
Absolutely. I think Arsenal fans, they appreciate a good brand of soccer, but they need some killer instinct, and that's what Gabriel Jesus has.
And so, Arsenal now on the front foot. The last time these two teams played, Arsenal did win 5-1. It was the final game of the regular season, as we would say in American sports, in the table. Oh, I'm sorry, were you there? Heather was voicing over to me. You were there.
I'm there. I went to, you know, I was hoping that it would be like this epic last game of the season for Arsenal, even though we were hoping for a poor result from Tottenham. You know,
and if folks don't know, you played for Arsenal, just to reiterate that
Arsenal,
again. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Of course, you know, being the professional that I am, I'm calling a very neutral game here
very
today.
Unbiased, very unbiased.
Very unbiased.
Yes.
But that day, I was an Arsenal fan, and I was hoping for a huge last day of the season. And they did. They had a wonderful result against Everton. It wasn't enough to squeak into that top 4 spot. And we heard behind us, the person behind us had the Tottenham game pulled up, so we knew that they were winning. So we just tried to enjoy the sunshine and enjoy the victory that day.
Well, and I think from Everton's perspective also, they, of course, the previous game had secured themselves back into the Premier League the next season. So, you know, they were a little bit on the back foot there. The game was at Arsenal, and you could tell that Everton was coming off of the high. So, you know, earlier in the season, they actually beat Arsenal 2-1. A ridiculous goal for Damari Gray. There's that man again. Jesus Saka on the back post. Saka with the finish. And it's 2-0 for the Gunners.
A really promising start to this match for Arsenal, and their transition play just looks so fast. Their crisp passes through the midfield. They won the ball in the center of the field there, and again, it's that back post player that's getting the result and getting the reward. That time it's Saka. Really good composure from the young player.
So Jesus on the ball, flicks it in, and almost a touch from Martinelli. Can't quite tell if he made contact. Let's take another look. So brilliant flick there. Martinelli actually misses it, and that ends up being to the benefit of Bukayo Saka, who was on the far post, able to clean that up. And this is an attacking trio right here, the 2 Brazilians, and then the Englishman on the end of it that Arsenal fans have to be quite excited about.
And Niels Nkuku from Everton is going to be disappointed on that. Of course, as a wingback, you love to bomb forward, but you have to stay accountable to your defensive duties. And he was just off the mark there on Saka's, and he lost the recovery run, and he pays the price for it.
That was a lightning attack there from this pacey Arsenal team, and now you can see a little bit thirsty for more. So the question is, can Everton find some composure? Can they get back on the ball? Can they get into the game a bit?
Here you see Dele trying to pop up to the center forward spot, but really they need him to get on the ball. They need him to sort of provide a little bit of confidence for Everton, who's right now, you know, got 2 goals scored on him. Confidence is low. They need these star players to take a hold of the game and say, give me the ball. I want to be the difference maker.
And no doubt, Dele has not been on the ball much. You have seen Damari Gray drop back into the midfield and turn nicely there, although he is holding, looks like his shoulder as he goes down. Gets some consolation from Jesus. Damari Gray again scored the winning goal. Okay, so he gets pulled down with the back of the shirt there. Just making sure that we all know.
Yeah, it was the jersey pull, then he got shotgunned. as fans say. He's just such a force in midfield, and sometimes the dismay of Arsenal fans puts a little bit too much into his tackles.
Well, Granit Xhaka, 10 yellow cards. I thought it would have been more, actually, but still a decent number. Of course, the Swiss longtime international is now 29 years old. Started his career at Basel, and then moved on to Mönchengladbach, which always takes up too much space on your sheet.
That's a long one. A lot of letters there.
All right, so Everton on the ball here, trailing by 2. Exciting up and down action here in Baltimore. This little give and go. You heard the Arsenal fans as Odegaard and Jesus combined.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't look like a connection that just started forming in the last month. That Odegaard, Jesus, number 10, and positionally, number 10 and number 9 having a great chemistry is a good thing to see this early in the season.
Now, we haven't seen the number 10 for Arsenal, and that is Emile Smith-Rowe, who also had a terrific campaign. Another young Englishman who's 21. Heather, I do expect that we'll see several more players in the second half. As this is a preseason game, you get more subs. So stay tuned in the second half. Meanwhile, the Toffees trying to get something going. Arsenal maybe have backed off just a bit. There's Godfrey sending it across the sideline. Martinelli on the ball. And aggressive tackle there from Tierney. Okay. Arsenal had thoughts of grandeur again to try to get that third. Cross swung in, and Jesus not able to get on the ball.
I think in terms of substitutions, we'll definitely see Smith-Rowe come in. He was arguably the best player for Arsenal in large stretches last season. And here was a true academy product of Arsenal, Mike. So when I was over there, Smith-Rowe was one of these young kids that I heard about. He was always in the training room because he faced a lot of tough injuries early on in his career. It's taken him a while to finally find his feet to play first-team football, and what a talent he is.
No doubt about it. And you know, a lot of the Premier League teams have made some waves in their youth ranks and calling players up, and these are two of the teams that have always developed players. The first player I think of here stateside, at least, is Wayne Rooney, right, who came up in the Everton system. Was just incredible as a 16, 17-year-old for the full side. Then, of course, goes over to Manchester United and will be back in the MLS as the manager for DC United. Looking forward to that.
And another young player that's come through the Everton ranks is Anthony Gordon, who we expect to see come in. And
they're number 10, Heather.
Yeah, and he just got that number 10 kit. So that's saying a lot for
21-year-old.
A club to put that faith in a young player.
And so that will go wayward. Looking for Nkoko up the left flank.
Anthony Gordon said in an interview that scoring goals is his most favorite thing in the world.
I mean, other than your kids, I mean, you could share that thought. No, is there anything better than scoring a goal?
I think scoring a goal is up there, but I mean, having